So you published the article. It shares Fauci's household earnings of $1.7 million in 2012 between he and his wife. And then you get an email from Caroline Howard, executive editor at Forbes, someone you had not interacted with in your career. So this is weird. This comes out of left field. And she writes to you, and so let me pull it up, saying in part, okay, I believe someone, who's been redacted, spoke to you about the tone of your posts straying into advocacy, not to mention the reporting errors pointed out today. It's your third article on Fauci in 3 weeks. Huh. She actually writes, in the email. Then she goes on, to be clear, anyone who engages in this type of writing is subject to review and swift action, from coaching to reprimand, warning, and dismissal. And this was in response to a complaint, as you point out, from 6 top communications, government relations, and public affairs officers, meaning PR flacks, at the NIH, who wrote to her saying, you got your facts wrong, and this was deeply concerning to them. And there was some guy named Randall Lane, who purports to be the chief content officer and editor over at Forbes, who was apparently responsible for the decision to bar you from writing about Fauci at that point, from that point forward. So let's go back over your alleged mistakes so the audience can decide whether what you did was worth the death penalty here. What were they mad about? Because as I read their letter, it's like, it's a yawn. You tell me.
It is a yawn. We were tip of the spear on giving oversight to the Fauci financials. I did have a typo. There was a number in the body of the piece when it initially published, when it had less than 350 views, that an editor caught. The number was right in the title and wrong in the body of the piece. It was quickly corrected. They had some other phrasing and language edits that they wanted made. I'm light to lift. I quickly made them. The piece today is the definitive repository of the 2020 Fauci financials. That's the last year available, Megyn, and it has over 130,000 views today. So these things were corrected quickly, and the piece was robust and substantial.
So let me just you explain to me whether this is correct or not, because you reported in the original piece that Fauci collected $8,100 to attend 3 galas. Then they wrote in saying only one of those galas honored Fauci as an award recipient, and he reported the gifts of free attendance with the market value of the tickets face value. He, quote, never collected any money for these events. Is that true then? He did not collect $8,100 to attend any of these galas?
Right. He didn't collect any cash. He collected, quote unquote, the market value of $8,100 for the tickets. So I took their edit. It's no problem. I changed collected to reported. It's a difference without a distinction, Megyn. It didn't mean anything to the veracity of the piece. Mm-hmm. Here's what NIH didn't correct. They didn't correct his salary, the benefits, the investment gains, the royalties, the $1 million prize of speaking truth to power. All of our substantial findings in the piece, they didn't say anything about, which essentially validates them. If we'd made a mistake on anything else, they would have certainly pointed it out. So these were just ticky-tack. It was a ticky-tack, quote-unquote, corrections email. But the purpose of it was to put me on the bad list with Forbes. And that, for them, ended up being mission accomplished.
To underscore that, so the second complaint, I mean, you'll tell me, but like, unless there's another email from them complaining, is there? Like, this is it. This is the complaint email. Yes? Yeah, okay. So there was that one. They don't want you to say he collected $8,100, that he reported an $8,100 value to him in attending the galas. Okay, you did it. The second point they raise, because they make it sound like your string of corrections, you completely blew that article. It's like, when I went back, I'm like, what did he do? My God. And I'm like, this is it. The second one is Fauci's reports also disclose his approved editorial board position with McGraw-Hill. With regard to the Forbes reporting about travel perks, the editorial board members at McGraw-Hill meet in person when organized by the publisher, and they're reimbursed for their travel expenses that they pay for themselves out of pocket to begin with. Dr. Fauci, as a board member, receives the same travel reimbursement as other non-federal board members. That's it. So what's that about? Did you say that he was getting some sort of a big perk from McGraw-Hill that he shouldn't have gotten?
Well, it is a perk because he does have to, by law, disclose it on his ethics and financial disclosure forms, which I reported on. Now, I had reached out to the National Institutes of Health for a request for comment on this point. They did not respond before the article was published. They responded after the article was published on a Sunday morning. Okay, that's fair enough. We updated the piece with their additional context. I didn't quibble about it. Again, we're just light to lift. We want to be fair. We want to, they responded eventually to the request for comment. We updated the piece.
So that's it. That's it. And then you get the sort of tisk email from Caroline Howard, your tone, third article in Fauci in 3 weeks. Huh? Yeah, go ahead.
Just to be clear. So the Caroline Howard email from Forbes came first. Forbes was already upset. I was writing about Fauci 3 times in 3 weeks, that we were making national news being cited in the Senate hearing when Marshall questioned Fauci and cited Forbes, which was my column. Obviously, by the tone of that email, they did not like that citation. They did not like giving oversight on Fauci's financials.
That's before Fauci and his comrades complained?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. So then they complained, you make the changes, and then you've got Randall Love, Chief Content Officer and Editor at Forbes, who basically cans you. He bars you from writing about Fauci and mandates pre-approval for all future topics, or was that like an interim step before the end of the relationship?
So we got the Caroline Howard email from Forbes that's quibbling about 3 columns on Fauci in 3 weeks. Yep. Then we have the pressure from NIH, the 2 bureau chiefs, the 2 directors, the 2 PR officers, a message cleared at the highest levels of NIH. And then within 24 hours of that email, I receive a phone call from my regular editor with 2 rules that had never been instituted on me. Number 1, I was barred from writing about Anthony Fauci any longer. Number 2, I had to pre-clear every single topic with them before I published again. Now, I tried to do that. They went silent for 10 days and then terminated the column.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.